Good morning everyone. Basa tayo natin KGP Bible. Today is February sa daily reading plan guys. Daily reading plan February 4, 2022, day 95 natin. Judges chapter 16 up to 18. Basa. Then went Samson to Gaza and saw there an harlot and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the two posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of an hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. And Samson said unto her, If thee bind me with 7 green wheats, and were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green wheats which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber, and she said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the wheats as a thread of tow is broken, when he touched the fire, so his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and be another as man, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liers in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with a web. And she fastened it with a pin, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awake out with sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, How canst thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. And it came to pass, when she oppressed him daily with her words, and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath shewed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees. Tingnan mo guys, pagdating talaga sa pera guys, ang daming natutokso. Ito, pinagkanulo na naman yung asawa niya doon sa mga sa silver and money. And she said him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave. Hindi kasi mga nababasa lang ba natin pagdating talaga sa pera. Natutokso sila. Ito, sarili ng asawa, oh. And she made him sleep her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks. Si Delilah ba? Ulit-ulit. Sa verse 19. Reaction lang yun, ha. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as at the other times before, and shake myself. And he wished not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their God, and to rejoice, for they said, Our God hath delivered Samson our enemy into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass when their hearts were merry, that they said, So ibig sabihin magkaaway talaga ang Israel at Philistines nung araw pa? Nakalagay kasi dito, oh. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. Verse 25, And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Samson, that he may make us sport. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made him sport, and they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me, that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there, and there were upon the roof upon 3,000 men and women. And behold, while Samson made sport, and Samson called unto the Lord, and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may, kunin natin to, that I may be at once amidst of the Philistines to my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, and borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. Advance na naman ako nagbasa dito. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then kasi may mga ano doon sa bubong, di ba ilang thousand yun? Tapos pinuhat yung pillars. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Estaol in the burying place of Manoah his place, and he judged Israel 20 years. Namatay si Samson. Judges chapter 17. Ulitin ko lang, hanggang ilan tayo? Hanggang 18. Judges chapter 17. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim whose name was Micah. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim whose name was Micah, and he said unto his mother, The 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from thee, about which thou cursedst, and speakest of also is in mine ears, behold, the silver is with me, I took it. And his mother said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my son. And when he had restored the 1100 shekels of silver to his mother said, I had wholly dedicated the silver unto the Lord from my hand for my son to make a graven image and a molten image. Now therefore I will restore it unto thee. Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to the founder who made thereof a graven image and a molten image, and they were in the house of Micah. And the man Micah had an house of gods, and made an ephod and teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons who became his priest. In those days there was no king in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man out of Bethel, Bethlehem, Judah. Sa verse 7 guys, and there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite, and he sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city from Bethlehem, Judah, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim to the house of Micah as he journeyed. And, and Micah said unto him, Whence comest thou? And he said unto him, I am a Levite of Bethlehem, Judah, and I go. Sa verse 9 tayo, di ko na kaya. Ina mo na tubig. Sumuko na lamunan. Verse 9. And Micah said unto him, Whence comest thou? And he said unto him, I am a Levite of Bethlehem, Judah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Micah said unto him, Dwell with me, and be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give them 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel, and thy victuals. So the Levite went in. And the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. And Micah consecrated the Levite, and the young man became his priest, and was in the house of Micah. Then said Micah, Now know I that the Lord will do me good, seeing I have a Levite to my priest. Chapter 18 ng Judges, verse 1. In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in, for unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. Oh. And the children of Dan sent of their families 5 men from their coast, men of valor from Zorah and from Estaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go search the land. When they came to Mount Ephraim to the house of Micah, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man the Levite, and they turned in thither, and said unto him, Who brought thee hither? And what makest thou in this place? And what hast thou? And what hast thou here? Pa-question mark kasi. And he said unto them, Thus and thus delayed Micah with me, and hath hired me, and I am his priest. And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray thee, of God, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous. And the priest said unto them, Go in peace, before the Lord is your way, wherein ye go. Then the 5 men departed, and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless after the manner of the Sidonians, quiet and secure, and there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. And they were far from the Sidonian, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Zorah and Estaol, and their brethren said unto them, What say ye? And they said, Arise, that we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold it is very good. And are ye still? Be not slothful to go and to enter to possess the land. When you go, you shall come unto a people secure. Ayan, pagdating din sa lupa, ang dami rin, gustong magkalupa. Nakalagay kasi guys. And they said, Arise, that we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold it. It is and behold, it is very good, and are ye still, be not slothful to go and to enter to possess the land. Talaga lang. Pagdating talaga sa lupa, guys. Mga inheritance. When ye go, ye shall come unto a people secure unto a large land, for God hath given it into your hands, a place where there is no want for anything that is in the earth. And there went sa verse 11 tayo. Pinumuna. Wala ng tubig. Verse 11. Hanggang 18 lang naman tayo, diba? Hanggang chapter 18 lang tayo ng Judges, alam ko. So, last chapter na ba ito? Wait lang, ha? Yep. Hanggang chapter 18 lang. Verse 11 ng chapter 18 Judges. And there went from thence of the family of the Danites, out of the Zorah, and out of Estaol, 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kirjath Jearim in Judah, wherefore they called that place Mahanidan. And to this day, behold, it is behind Kirjath Jearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came unto the house of Micah. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, Do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod, a teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider that ye have to do. And they turned thitherward, and came to the house of the young men, the Levite, even unto the house of Micah, and saluted him. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither, and took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. And the priest stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. Verse 18. And this went into Micah's house, and pitched the carved image, the ephod, and teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, What do ye? And they said unto him, Hold thy peace, lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for thee to be priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel? And the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod, and the teraphim, and the graven image, and went in the midst of the people. So they turned and departed, and brought the little ones, and the cattle, and the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the houses near to Micah's house were gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan. And they cried unto the children of Dan, and they turned their faces, and said unto Micah, What aileth thee that thou cournest with such a company? And he said, Ye have taken away my gods, which I made, and the priest, and ye are gone away, and what have I more? And what is this that yung tiyan ko? And what is this that ye say unto me, What aileth thee? And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not thy voice, inom pa raw tubig. Nagrereklamo. Okay, verse 25. And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not thy voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou thy life with the lives of thy household. And the children of Dan went their way, and when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the breast which he had, and came unto Laish, and to a people that were at quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon, and they had no business with any man, and it was in the valley that lieth by Beth-rehob. And they built a city, and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jonathan the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh. Bye everyone. God bless.